Today is Sunday, June 19th, 2016, and this is Flashpoint. Hello and welcome to Flashpoint. Devin is on assignment in Rio. I'm Kimberly Gill. Thanks for being with us on this Father's Day. What a week it has been for Orlando. The city is reeling after 3 horrific events in 1 week. What's long been called the happiest place on earth is now full of tragedy and grief. The slaying of a young singing sensation, a 2-year-old snatched by an alligator, plus 49 people killed in a nightclub massacre, the deadliest mass shooting in U.S. history. The president reiterated the need for stricter gun laws. We'll talk in our roundtable discussion about it and if Orlando will be the tragedy that changes policy. Also this morning, we're talking about Detroit public school reform. It's a major issue for the city that we haven't had a chance to touch on very much yet on the show. We'll talk with State Senator Jeff Hansen, who spearheaded the initial DPS reform package as it made its way through the Senate. We asked the question, why does a state senator from the west side of Michigan care so much about Detroit schools? How have the bills changed along the way, and how will the bills in their final form affect the future of Detroit's children? Let's get to it all right now on Flashpoint. Okay, lots to talk about this morning, and we start with the massacre in Orlando. Joining us for the roundtable discussion is Dawood Walid. He is the executive director of CARE, that's Council on American Islamic Relations. Next to him is State Representative Jeremy Moss. He represents Southfield and Michigan's 35th House District. We're also happy to welcome Nolan Finley, editorial page director for the Detroit News, and Brian Dickerson, columnist for the Detroit Free Press. Thank you all for making it this morning on this Father's Day. We really appreciate it. So many questions remain about this tragedy. This guy, why did he do it? Did he have any help? Could he have been stopped? Why don't we just start with that? He is a man who was questioned several times by the FBI, but yet still he could walk into a gun store, buy this type of gun, this type of ammunition, and carry out this type of heinous act. How does this happen? Is it realistic to believe that there should have been some sort of red flag in all of this? Could the FBI have done more? Nolan?
Well, here we are 15 years after 9/11, and we still don't have the intelligence right. We still don't have a nimble system for sharing information. This guy walked into a gun store, the gun store owner refused him sell him a weapon, called authorities. That information didn't get passed along. I talked with Dawood this week about the issue of the watch list and the terror watch list, no-fly list. It has ballooned to the point where it's ineffective. You got up to 1.5 million people on that list. They can't watch that many people. So instead of paring it down to a manageable list, a list in which you can concentrate on the real threats, so the identifiable threats, people like this fellow who become in contact with authorities 2 or 3 times, fall through the cracks. Well, they're watching people like 6 degrees of separation from an actual threat.
Dawood, what do you think?
It's a very difficult issue. CI head John Brennan just said in the Senate's Intelligence Committee hearing that there's no proof that this man had any direct relationship to ISIS. So basically, he was a lone wolf. So then it becomes the question, as Nolan just pointed out, that our government and mass surveillance is so large that the people who should be monitored and should be intercepted are falling through the cracks. There's a similar thing with the Boston bombing, where the Muslim community called law enforcement on those troublemakers who were rabble-rousing inside the mosque. And because too many Americans, law-abiding Americans, are on these watch lists and being surveilled, the real threats, people like Omar Mateen, are slipping through the cracks, and there needs to be real reform about this in Congress.
Absolutely. Well, President Obama has been pushing for these stricter gun laws for years. Here we are 4 years after Sandy Hook, after we saw all of these little kids, and quite frankly, little white kids, be slaughtered, and we still have done nothing. Brian, what are your thoughts on that? What can we do? Have we become numb to this kind of thing?
I don't think we've become numb. I think there's a powerful gun manufacturing lobby whose position is that any regulation of firearms, correct me if I'm wrong.
You're dead wrong, but go ahead.
Any regulation of firearms creates a slippery slope that can only end in total regulation of firearms and confiscation. so inexplicably, they're resisting legislation that would ban the sale of assault rifles to civilians.
Nolan, you said Brian's wrong. Why?
Well, yeah, I mean, we tried the assault weapon ban. We had it on the books for a long time. It didn't do any good, and since the ban has expired, killings by rifles have declined 36%. You ban this form of weapon, which is basically a cosmetic ban, not a real ban. And there's any number of other weapons they can choose. And I'm interested in the response this time, that the response this time in terms of gun control is to deny these 1.5 million people on the terror watch list their Second Amendment right. These are people who don't even know they're on the list, are on the list for a variety of specious reasons, many of them, and we're going to arbitrarily strip them of their constitutional rights, deny them their Fifth and Sixth Amendment rights to due process. I think it's just what the left is doing here in terms of response to this attack, in terms of denying Muslim Americans and people on that watch list their right, their Second Amendment rights, is as bad as what Donald Trump is doing to them.
I got to interject here. The reason that there was this filibuster last week from Senate Democrats, and we're hopeful that this week Senate Republicans will take up some of the measures that they were pushing for, is because that the terror watch list is so large, and the only thing that Republicans were willing in this Cornyn legislation to agree to was, let's maybe for the next 3 days after the person tries to purchase a weapon, we'll do some due process. Democrats have said, let's extend that to 50 days. Let's have a 50-day breathing period before somebody who's on this list, which is exhaustive, it's a large list, to do the due process. And Republicans are offering something that isn't going to work. That 3-day waiting period to do the due process and then see if this person is worthy of a weapon. We need a longer breathing room.
Everybody on that list should have due process. You should not be on a list that denies you your basic constitutional rights.
But let's do it right.
And it's not just the Second Amendment. You can have your bank accounts shut down, and nobody has to tell you why you're on the list or how you get off. That's not the right way to do it. If you're put on a list like this, you should have the right to challenge it. You should see the evidence against you. You should meet and face your accusers. Those are basic Fifth and Sixth Amendment rights that this proposal you're talking about threw in the trash.
But
So
Nolan,
you wouldn't
you have
keep
to
them
admit,
off airplanes either.
I would not keep anyone on that no-fly list. There's 57,000 people on that list. I wouldn't keep anybody on that list without their due process rights being respected. No.
Do you agree?
but there
Many
are
on the
ways to do
list,
that.
let me just stop you.
There's
Many on
not
the
ways
list
to do
are Muslim American. What do you think about that? Is that profiling?
Well, we believe the vast majority are, and that's why we're actually suing the Obama administration right now regarding this watch list. We filed a lawsuit early this year because it's so ridiculous that one of our plaintiffs, who we call Baby Doe, was a 9-month-old put on the watch list. So, like, what in the world is going on? And again, as I reiterate, the actual people that we should be looking at is people who could pose an imminent danger, an imminent threat. But this large list, and it basically is looking like looking for a needle in a haystack with all of these law-abiding American citizens who are being denied their constitutional rights. Meanwhile, we have someone who's questioned by the FBI in 2012, 2013, who has diagnosed mental health issues, diagnosed bipolar. When he got his divorce decree, or in the divorce process, it was said he was beating his wife up. How's a person like this able to purchase a gun? And this is the real issue.
Right, which is something else we need to pay attention to, is the mental health issue in this country. That's certainly another show. Is this the tragedy that will finally change policy, though? What do we do? Brian, do you think anything will change after this? 50 people, 49 people.
The best thing to change would be to treat it like any other public health crisis. If this were the Zika virus come to America, we wouldn't put mosquitoes off the table.
Sure.
But that's what we've done here. But there are shortcomings to all these solutions, but why are we not setting up an evidence-based regimen to start playing with the variables, start playing with guns, start playing with the terrorist watch list, start playing with mental health, and see what works?
I got to leave it there. We got to take a break right quick, but when we come back, the conversation will continue. What are the other consequences of Orlando on both the LGBTQ and Muslim communities, and how could this tragedy affect the rhetoric in the presidential race? We'll talk about that when we come back. Stay with us.